Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to a new video on the channel. And today guys, I'm going to be going over how well can your AFL team start the 2023 AFL season and a first 6 rounds fixture preview. So let's go ahead and hop right into things. Alright, so while going through these fixtures, I do want to go ahead and say that the first 5-6 rounds of the year and of the season can be influential come ladder position time, come the end of the year, come finals time. We do know last year that Port Adelaide almost kind of did the example, and they had a 0-5 start to their year, missed finals. If they had won a couple of those first 5 games, they would have made finals. So that's why an important start, that's why a good start to your year is really important. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over how well I think each AFL team could start the year. And also, by the way, we have got Easter round in round 4, and then Gather round in round 5, and then Anzac round in round 6. So these first 6 rounds as well do have lots. The opening round, and then, yeah, Easter, Anzac Day, and Gather round. So there's a lot on the footy calendar to start off the year. So this should be a shorter video. We are hopping on Squiggle to do a in-depth ladder prediction of the first 6 rounds. Now, before the AFL season starts, I'll be doing all of my official predictions like Squiggle and stuff like that. But just for now, just for a little bit of a shorter video and for a little bit more of a in-depth looking at the start of the year kind of thing, we are just going to be having a little look at the first 6 rounds and seeing where I feel like teams will be and what that will mean for each side. So just going to run through the predictions. Some of them may have changed if you've watched some past videos about my predictions, but I do feel like Richmond will win against Carlton. I think I have changed my mind on that one. Again, Cats over Pies, and this one was, in my opinion, gotten a little bit closer from when I made my prediction, even though I only said North by 7. But I feel like these two sides have probably gotten a little bit closer. I think it'll still be a good game. I'm still going to back in North, however, and I'm also still going to back in Brisbane by a smaller margin, though. Again, I still do feel like the D's will win by a pretty big margin against the Western Bulldogs. Gold Coast and Sydney. Still going Sydney on that one. Nothing's changed my mind. I've gone the Crows by a bit of a bigger margin as well. I feel like they will still win and win pretty comfortably. Bombers, and I've also got Dockers. So that is my round 1 ladder. Not going to unpack round 1. Just going to keep on going and keep on ticking along this video. I feel like Geelong will beat the Blues by a fair bit. Brisbane should beat Melbourne. Collingwood and Port Adelaide. This is going to be a close Collingwood win, I reckon. I reckon that'll be a good game. And I do feel like the Crows can genuinely upset Richmond. They seem to do it all the time, which takes them to a 2-0 start, looking good for them. Yeah, I do think the Dogs will beat the Saints, and the Dockers should be able to beat North Melbourne pretty comfortably, because North Melbourne aren't great in Perth. And yes, Sydney should be able to smash Hawthorn. This will be a big win for the Swans. Takes them to the top of the ladder. Bombers should go 2-0, beating Gold Coast. West Coast versus GWS. West Coast will register their first win of the year by beating the Giants round 3. The Western Bulldogs and the Lions. Going to go the Lions in a close one, but we do know the Dogs are a great start at Marvel. Collingwood and Richmond at the MCG. Going to go Richmond. Richmond do seem to stand up to win these big games. Collingwood, maybe not so much. Hawthorn and North Melbourne at UTAS. Got to back in the Hawks there. GWS and Carlton at Sydney Showground. Pretty comfortable Carlton win there. Should be able to win that one pretty comfortably. And the Saints should be able to beat the Bombers at the MCG. Showdown. We do know that no matter where these sides are on the ladder, they do produce a really good game. I think Port Adelaide should be able to get their first win of the year here. Cats should be able to beat the Suns pretty comfortably, which does take them to a 0-3 start for the Gold Coast Suns, which is not looking good on their behalf because, well, they need to be in finals contention this year, and sitting 17th after the first 3 rounds is not looking good. The Swans should be able to beat the D's. I feel like they do it every year. They should be able to do it again this year. And the Dockers should be able to beat the Eagles. That's the Derby. They should be able to win that. Lions, Pies. I'm going to go the Lions in another close one. I'm going to say the Blues to win pretty comfortably against North Melbourne. I'm going to say the Crows and Dockers is going to be a really close game at the Adelaide Oval, because the Crows are really good at the Adelaide Oval. The Dockers, when they can travel, they can be interesting. I feel like the Dockers will win in a really close game, which will give the Crows their second loss so far. The Dockers will go 4-0. Richmond Doggies at the MCG. Richmond, St Kilda Gold Coast. look, this is going to be a really interesting game. I feel like Gold Coast will win, though, just because, I mean, look, they've got to get a win on the board. You've got to tip a couple of upsets. I feel like that is an upset. Sydney and Port Adelaide, this is going to be a big win for the Swans. Port Adelaide, the SCG, I don't think they'll be any good. Essendon and the Giants, Essendon at Marvel, which look at them, 3-1 to start the year for the Bombers. West Coast and Melbourne, that'll be a Melbourne win. Geelong and Hawthorn. Now, these games are genuinely close. I still feel like it's going to be close enough, but 22 points I feel like is probably a good margin, because still got to keep that close tradition, but I feel like these two sides do separate. So round 5 gather round, I do go and upset tip the Crows, although to be completely honest, Crows should start favourites in that game. Fremantle, Gold Coast, Freo in a close one. Sydney, Richmond, I am going to say Richmond, and I'm going to say Brisbane to beat North Melbourne pretty comfortably. The Adelaide Hills, Essendon, Melbourne, only just though. Port Adelaide, Western Bulldogs, that'll be a pretty comfortable Port Adelaide win. I feel like the Dogs will probably be not so great this year. They might still be able to contend for finals. We'll just change that one up a little bit. They'll probably still be able to contend for finals for some of the year, but yeah, I'm not quite sure how they will be this year. The Cats should be able to smash West Coast as well. Take them to a 5-0 start. Hawthorn and the Giants. I'm going to tip the Giants. I feel like they have to get a first win eventually, and yeah, I feel like it'll be in this in that game. St Kilda and Collingwood. Yeah, we'll go Collingwood. And round 6, the final rounds that we're going to be tipping. We've got 3 sides at 5-0 so far. Let's see if things change. And yeah, the Dockers will beat the Dogs in Perth. Port Adelaide will beat West Coast of the Adelaide Oval. The Lions will beat the Giants at Manuka. And then Cats Swans grand final rematch. Both these sides are actually pretty good at Kardinia Park, but we know which side is better. We know which side has that as their home ground. Hawthorn, Adelaide, York Park, Utah Stadium, as we know. I'm going to tip Adelaide in that one. Adelaide should be able to get the job done, and Carlton should be able to get the job done against the Saints as well. Gold Coast should be able to beat North Melbourne pretty comfortably up at Metricon, which they've won their last 2. Well, they've won a couple of their last few here. Have the Gold Coast Suns. They've won 2 of their last 3. To go 2-4 at the moment. Melbourne and Richmond's the Anzac Day Eve game. I'm going to tip Melbourne. And then Collingwood and Essendon here in the final game I'm going to be tipping this video. And I'm going to be tipping Collingwood to win. So, based on the first 6 rounds, which sides do I have doing well, and which sides are sliding down the ladder so far? So, the moment we'll go bottom to top. Got North Melbourne. This is going to be in ladder position order. North Melbourne on bottom. West Coast, GWS, Hawthorn, Western Bulldogs, and St Kilda from 18th to 13th. All on 1 and 5. Things will change later on in the year, but yeah, got those sides on 1 and 5 to start the year, which is not good, especially for the Dogs. And then I've got teams like Gold Coast is the only side that's 2 and 4. Essendon are 3 and 3, along with Collingwood, Port Adelaide, and Carlton. I've got Adelaide in 7th, 4 and 2, along with Richmond and Melbourne and Sydney. So some pretty good sides there are 4 and 2. I feel like, especially for the Crows, their first few rounds are favourable. And then Lions, Fremantle, and Geelong are all 6-0 to start the year, which probably won't happen. But look, those are just my predictions for how I feel like sides will start the year. The Dogs is an interesting one, though. If we go back and have a little look at their fixture, which it is actually quite a tough one. But yeah, I feel like most of these games they will actually lose. I feel like the only game they will actually win will be against the Saints. It is a very, very, very unfavourable first few rounds there for the Western Bulldogs. And for a side like Adelaide, who are very far up the ladder, if you have a little look at them, they've got quite a favourable fixture. The Giants, the Tigers, Port Adelaide, Freo, Carlton and Hawthorn in the first few rounds. And the thing that does make it so favourable for them as well is that there are a couple of games at home against greater sides. But they do play really well at home, which is why I've kind of tipped them in a couple of those games as well. I've also tipped a couple of upsets, because why not? You got to throw in the upsets, and you've got to have upsets like that as well. But anyway, though, I am going to be doing my full ladder predictions very soon. There's a good chance that when I do my full ladder predictions that they will be different from what I've done today. Margins haven't really I've kind of gone with an appropriate margin, but I haven't been point perfect. I've just kind of been pressing like around like 20, 25, 30, 35, etc. As to where I think. But yeah, anyway though, I'm going to be doing an updated version of this before the AFL season starts with all 24 rounds. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Feel free to let me know how you think your AFL side will start, because it's a really important time of year. You've got to start well. A good start can really as I say, springboard your season and really give you some confidence heading into the season. And obviously, as we know, teams that start with 6 wins or even just 4 wins can be enough to get you a head start into finals from those teams that are on 2 or 1 wins. It can give you a head start to get into the finals, needing to do less work later on in the year. And again, if you do have a favourable fixture, winning as many of those games as possible is really important as well, especially if there's tougher times to come. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe so you guys never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Bye everyone. Flaming Footy out.